Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. It is JRob here with Team Energy Golf Clash. Thanks for checking out the channel and welcome to the guide. So we've got the Eastern Classics tournament guide and walkthrough video here to go over today, and it's definitely going to be an interesting one this week, guys, because Playdemic and the courses that they have picked this week was a pretty slick one, because I think that they were really trying to give us one of those kind of challenging type courses that we could really have an array of opportunities to really land some shots. So I definitely think you guys are going to see some higher scores in this tournament, maybe a more varying array of scores that you'll see throughout your brackets, but it's definitely going to be a fun tournament. A lot of these holes you're going to see a lot of drops on, so be prepared to dial in some shots. So if you guys are looking for some more detailed information or anything like that as far as your qualification, and weekend round guides, we do all of that over on our Patron platform. So we have a whole other platform essentially that we are posting Golf Clash content to. So if you guys are interested in that, the link will be down in the description. But before we jump on over into the guide, guys, and hop on to Gokasho Bay, Shiruba Springs, and Namhae Cliffs, make sure you guys definitely click that notification bell down there so you guys get notified when we do post content, and make sure you guys smash that like button with the fists of a gorilla so we can get some likes on the video. But nonetheless, guys, let's hop on in to hole number 1 and conquer this Eastern Classics tournament together. What is up, guys? Welcome to the guide. So we're going to be going over Namhae Cliffs, Shiruba Springs, and Gokasho Bay. So right here we've got hole number 1, par 4 for Namhae Cliffs. And we're going to show you guys a couple different ways to really play a lot of these holes as we go along through the guide. But I also wanted to add in here as well that I do have a little bit of older footage that I've kind of edited in here so that we can get a good idea on how we're going to want to really line up some of these shots and stuff like that. So some of the clips may not have full audio, but we're going to go over them and discuss them anyways. But what we're going to be doing here, if we have a headwind on hole number 1, is we're more than likely going to have to play this right-hand side. Now, we're more than likely really looking to play the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, but if we have to play the right-hand side here, really no big deal, because you will still be able to get a nice eagle opportunity, and if you're playing the right side, more than likely everybody else is playing the right side too, because we're not going to be able to get over onto that left island to actually make it to the green to be able to have an easy eagle, or at least putt it in, chip it in, one of the two. But what we're going to be doing here is playing off the tee box with max distance plus 10% in elevation, and then that's going to essentially move us, depending on how much curl we use on our drive. We want to use more curl so that it pushes us more in towards the green, because the further right that you end up, you may even end up with a long iron here, and that's not going to be good. We're looking for either a mid to max distance thorn shot, and you may even, if you get curled over there far enough, end up with a wedge. So if you end up with a wedge, that's going to be fantastic. But come in there just a little bit shy there to the right. I believe I actually overplayed that just slightly because I had my elevation just a little bit different. But if you guys make a nice mid plus 10% shot there, which I wanted to say mid plus 10% on the thorn is essentially like playing it with 0% elevation at max distance. So that's pretty much going to be your same numbers as if you played at 0% max distance numbers. So one of the two is going to work for you. But what you're going to be doing there on the left-hand side is playing it just like that to get the hole-in-one on Rookie Division. Now, I know that clip is from Rookie, but we can definitely perform that same shot from the Pro and Expert tee box. So if you get lucky, that's the spin adjustment that you're going to be looking for if you guys want to replay that shot back and then go over it again. Essentially, I wanted to put that up there to at least show you guys what the adjustment was like and, the sweet spot on that little fairway there that you're going to have to hit to be able to ricochet and bounce over and clip the right spot to nail the hole-in-one. And I just wanted to say as well that it's more than likely going to be better off for you guys to actually clip that rough beforehand and then end up with a small wedge shot right in towards the pin like you see us here, than bouncing from fairway to fairway off of that island and rolling too far over the green, and then you're going to end up either in the water or the rough right there, and that's going to be no good. So it's better to be just that slight bit short than just that hair too long, because that hair too long is going to be way too long by the time you're done rolling. So just make sure you guys can get right in or around outside of the green right there, chip her in nice, or you may end up rolling out on the other side of the fairway or somewhere to putt. All right, though, guys, that's going to bring us right on over to hole number 2, the first of the par 5s that we have here today for Shiruba Springs. So this one's going to be one of those holes that we're more than likely going to be playing this the same way, everybody. So you may want to play this with a big topper here if you don't have the top spin on some of your other clubs, or like the extra mile upgraded to like level 8 or 9 to have that top spin, because what we're looking for here is to really get down onto that second fairway. There's that little right rough line that kind of cuts in to the fairway there, and we're wanting to get at least past that. I'd say about 10, 15, 20 yards there. We're going to be playing this first shot at either max to mid distance plus 0% elevation, so we're not using really anything here at all, just making a straightforward wind adjustment. So that's going to leave us on over to the second shot that we have here. Now, depending on whatever power ball that you do play this with, you may actually end up potentially being able to use the Guardian with like a power 4 or 5 ball and get down towards the green to actually make a decent albatross opportunity. That is 100% possible. And I just want to let you guys know about that, because you're going to see a lot of people bounce over here, and it is a more difficult shot, but that's the shot that we are going to be going over here to show you guys, because a lot of you are going to be going with that. So we're going to be using 3 bars of right hand side spin, roughly full top spin. Almost. We're going to leave about, I believe it was like a bar and a little half shy of full top spin. And that's going to leave us with just about a ball of curl to the right, and that perfect ball ending up just off the corner of that top fairway, rolling down onto the green here. Now, curling it around like that, you may sometimes end up in the bunker, so don't use too much curl. But what we need to do there is curl that around so that it actually, kind of spins itself right around that bunker and catches the funnel down into the pin. But we definitely don't want to catch that little slight corner of that bunker there, because that will be the one thing that stops us from getting the eagle. All right, though, guys, that's going to move us on over to Gokasho Bay, hole number 3, par 3. So we can play this hole here one of 2 different ways. Now, you can play this on the left side of this bunker, or you can play this on the right side of this bunker. I'm going to show you guys the left-hand side, but we may end up going with the right-hand side option, kind of between the bunkers there in the tournament. But it can be a pretty tricky shot. Just to let you guys know, depending on whichever wind that we do get, especially if it's like a crosswind, I like to go to the left side for sure, because if you do make that slight little bit of an off adjustment on the right hand side, it's going to throw you quite a bit off. So perfect shot. What we're going to be doing here is playing this at max distance plus 10% in elevation. I should have pushed that up just a couple more rings there to help compensate for the tailwind that we had there. But essentially, you're going to be using that 3 bars of right-hand side spin and roughly 4.5 to 5 bars of backspin straight in off of the corner of that bunker towards the pin, and you guys should be able to have a fairly good chance there at actually grabbing the hole-in-one, one of 2 of those different ways on the right or left side. But alright, guys, that's going to move us on over to hole number 4, par 4. So here on hole number 4, this is going to be one of those holes that we're really going to have to eagle. If we eagle this one, it's going to be one of the more standout scores on our scorecard. And if we do have a headwind here on this clip, or this particular hole, like I do in this clip, we are going to have to bump up a power and ball, or we're going to have to play it down the left-hand lane. And that's going to change us up the way we're playing this a little bit. But more than likely, we're going to want to play this down this kind of middle right-hand side lane here, curling it around to get down towards the pin as far as we can. Now, of course, we're going to be playing this off the tee box with a little bit of elevation here as well. Max distance plus 15%. And then our second shot, if we get it curled around there far enough, is more than likely going to end up being mid plus 10%. You may even, be a little bit more further curled around there. And you may end up going with minimum distance, or you may even end up going with maximum distance. Now, if we play it the other way, you're more than likely going to end up going with either a long iron or a wood club to the pin. So definitely do keep that in mind, that if you do play it the other way, that you are going to have to play that with a completely different club. So it shouldn't be too bad of a shot. It should be a pretty straightforward shot. But nonetheless, you are going to be playing it different. But what we're going to be doing here is moving this, I believe, 6 rings. I think we should have moved it like 5.9 maybe. But maybe we were just a hair off with our adjustment there, moving 6 rings. But I think we just moved it a hair too far. So I think it was like 5.8, 5.9. But essentially, we're right on the very edge of the cup there, just shy of dropping in there for that eagle. So should be a pretty decent one there to actually land some extra strokes. And, one of those holes already, you're going to see a few drops already upcoming to this hole. So, good luck. Alright guys, that's going to take us right on over to hole number 5, par 3. So, we got a couple different ways here as well that we can actually tackle this par 3. And one of them here we actually aren't going to have a clip of, but I do want to explain. Tommy's actually got a really great guide on this specific shot this week. But if you guys do want to go with a long iron, or you don't feel comfortable going with that rough bump, I wanted to give you guys some other opportunities or different shot options that you could potentially go with. If you don't have like a wind 5 power 0 ball and stuff like that. So what we can do here with the long iron is we can play this at max to mid distance here with plus 20% in elevation. And what we're going to do is play this either with 0 spin. I did hit a great ball here on this shot, so we didn't get a great reference. If we do hit a little bit further left, and hit a perfect ball there, we're going to bounce at a different location on the fringe, so we might actually have the speed to roll in there. But you guys may want to use just a click of topspin there, like 0.2 in topspin, just to get you up and over the fringe there and that little bit of side spin. But if you guys don't feel comfortable using either that rough bump, which the rough bump is going to be up in the top left hand corner of that fairway right there between that little left bunker and the top rough line of the fairway, essentially you can use just a couple bars of backspin, about like 3.5 bars of backspin, and about 3/4 of a bar of right hand side spin, and that's going to push you up. And we're looking for like the little slope of this little hill there in the middle of the fairway. We want to be like almost right on top of it, so we have like a higher arced bounce, so it's going to bounce us up and over onto that fairway that the green lies on. But essentially we're going to be playing this at plus 20% in elevation here as well. My best recommendation would be to play it with the Grizzly, because it does give us the best ball guide. But if you guys are running into a little bit of distance issues, the Goliath here is perfect, because you're going to be at about a mid-distance shot that you're going to be able to adjust for pretty nice. So it's one of those holes that you're going to kind of have to pick your location and whichever shot option that you guys want to go with, whether it be the rough bump or your long iron. So good luck. Alright guys, that's going to take us on over to hole number 6, par 5, the second par 5 that we have here in the tournament. And this one's going to be a tougher one here for some of you guys. You may see some people going in the water. It's all going to kind of depend on the wind scenario that we have to work with here. Now off the tee box, We're actually going to be playing this at plus 20% in elevation here off the tee box, and then second shot is going to be at plus 10. Now, it is going to be at a little bit of a different elevation if you're, depending on where you play your shot from. So if you're playing it, right at the base of the hill, trying to go for like the rough bump, then you're going to play that at a little bit of different elevation than plus 10% being up on top. You may end up playing it with like minus 10% or minus 20%, aiming lower down on the hill because you're not going to be aiming as high up, if that makes sense. So definitely be aware of your second shot, but we're trying to get as far down towards the very end of that first fairway on the right as we possibly can. And you're definitely going to need a 180 distance driver here. If you do compensate with a higher powered ball, like using a power 5 here, and the Guardian, it has the Guardian maxed out, I guess I do want to specify, because the Guardian maxed out is 179 yards distance. So you're definitely going to have the distance still to reach with the Guardian, and that's the ideal club that we want to use because it's going to give us the amount of backspin that we actually need. And you may have to use a slight bit of overpower on your second shot to actually reach the location, but using full backspin up onto the green is ideally the shot that we want to take, which you're essentially looking for the ball to bounce up and over the pin, kind of rolling back, or to sit it down straight into the hole, essentially. But yeah, what we're going to kind of do here is use, the hill to our advantage. We want to aim up on top of that hill as far as we can so that it, creates that higher arc so that we can use the distance in that elevation to get on top of the hill, if that makes sense. So especially if you're going for the rough here, but if you're further than the hill and you're trying to overpower up to the hill, you're going to have to put more overpower or distance than you would most likely think. So definitely do keep that in mind if you are a little bit further back on your drive. But if you don't have really the distance and we have a little bit of a crosswind headwind, kind of like we had here, I didn't want to go with full overpower, so I went with just about a half a bar backspin, I believe it was, right out of the rough there. Probably should have used maybe some topspin, but maybe like half a bar to a bar of topspin out of that rough. But essentially, we are on the green and putting her in for an eagle, which is going to be a huge advantage. Now, I also wanted to show you guys here as well that my opponent, he played it very smart, hit a beautiful shot, and this is one thing that not a lot of people, think that they can do, so they don't really try the bounce over shot. They just lay it up with their their long iron essentially right at the very end of this fairway. Now you guys, what you guys can actually do is bounce this over with the big dog. You're gonna have to be very precise with your shot, but you're gonna have to aim it right at the very end of the fairway to bounce it up and over with full topspin. And what you're looking for is to just clip that rough or hit right the fairway right before so that you still have that room to roll out. But essentially the topspin is what's going to boost us to get up and over. So it's going to most likely take a lot of the speed out of your shot when it bounces. So you won't have to worry too much about rolling so far past, once you hit the fairway or the green, rolling in the bunker off the plateau. So definitely a tricky hole, but one that we need to get the eagle on here for sure if we want to do as good as a lot of our opponents are going to do out there. And we don't want to pull a little shot like that, like my opponent just did, smacking it off the pin. Alright though guys, that's going to bring us right on over to the last of the par 3s that we have here today at hole number 7, par 3. So there's actually a couple different ways that we could potentially play this hole. You guys could play it with the Rocket, you could play it with the Guardian and just lay it up on the green if you wanted to play it safe. But if you really want to go for the hole-in-one, we're either going to go for a rough bump right there to the right of that bunker, right straight in front of the pin, in that little patch of rough that we have. We're going to go with this adjustment here, roughly 1.25 bars backspin and 1 bar of left-hand side spin. I found that like a Marlin and Navigator, it works very well here because, you know, you just have that 1 bar left-hand side spin. Just easy to make the adjustment. And if you do make your spin adjustment first here, it's always a good idea because it will help you find the location that you're looking for here just a little bit easier. But we're looking to bounce off of the right-hand side fairway straight in towards the pin. And if you do make a nice solid adjustment there, just offsetting your target, that's definitely going to help you a lot because your second and third bounce is coming in towards the pin. The wind, whichever way that it's blowing, kind of like we have this left to right angled crosswind here. If we use our adjustments like we know, we go 1 bar left hand side spin, 1.25 backspin, and we're going to leave it, you know, that last little bit of rollout where our ball guide is flat right at the very end going in towards the pin. We want to make sure that that's just inside of the pin, especially on these angled winds. We want to just offset it here to the left hand side, and that's what's going to help us on our second and third bounces to continue coming just that little bit more to the right, and it'll blow us right on line to where we need to go. So it's going to be the ideal placement for us. If we have those angled winds, we're going to want to offset just that slight bit. It's definitely going to help us land the shot. But make sure that we do make a good solid adjustment there. Mid-distance plus 10% in elevation. And you guys should be very, very close with that adjustment. You guys could potentially use the rough bump opportunity, a couple bars of topspin. But whichever option you pick, good luck. It's definitely not going to be the easiest of holes, but it is one that you could count on for a hole-in-one if you have a solid adjustment here on hole number 7. Alright guys, that's going to bring us on over to the second to last hole that we have here today at hole number 8, par 4. So we're going to show you guys a couple different options here as well to play this hole, but we don't have the left-hand side here, but we're going to show you a couple great options. I should have probably thrown in the left-hand side because I have that really dialed in as well with a long iron. But you're essentially going to play it the exact same, mid plus 10%, mid to max plus 10% on the left-hand side. But we're going to show you guys both right-hand side options because it's going to be kind of dependent on what wind angle we do get in the tournament to whichever way that we're actually going to play this hole. So we're going to go with the more conservative approach there, bouncing over onto this little island of fairway there on the left-hand side, straight down the middle. So you're more than likely going to play that with just a little bit of backspin, bouncing over the rough line to get onto that patch of fairway. And that's going to set us up for a very nice second opportunity straight in at the pin, believe it or not, with our sniper. It's a very great rough bump opportunity, so definitely don't count it out. But I definitely noticed here that we had a wind that was kind of angled, pushing us a little bit forward with that tailwind angle a little bit there. And I knew we were probably going to be able to reach the green here. Now, if it's a little bit more of a drastic tailwind angle, you guys might want to, you know, just cut down a little bit on the topspin actually, because hitting fairway to fairway will definitely make sure that you go into the rough behind the green, which, you know, may be okay for some of you guys, making a nice easy Nirvana chip right out of the rough there for, you know, to be able to save that easy eagle. But if not, you're going to be left with a really nice wedge chip just outside of the green here, because we're gonna just clip that rough and roll out as far as we can towards the green, and that's going to leave us with like an end bringer rapier shot here right out of the fringe. Now, with your second approach there from our first drive option, we can actually play this here straight down out of this really nice rough patch, and you're essentially looking for the very center of that rough patch, and we're actually going to play it with no spin. We're going to play with just a little bit of backspin, like a half a bar of backspin, but the elevation is more than likely going to stop our ball quite a bit, you know, as it comes down and clips that rough. So playing it with no spin is actually pretty, you know, a good starting point here, because it slows our ball down that slight little bit. But playing it with that half bar backspin would almost likely make sure that you do, you know, slow down just that little bit to make sure that you drop if you do hit the pin or come in at a weird angle where you might catch a lip. But nonetheless, we're going to have a really nice rapier shot or endbringer shot right outside of the fringe here. And if you guys don't play like a numbskull like me and just try to hurry up and be unfocused when you're taking your shots. Make sure you hit that perfect ball. You'll drop this one no problem. But making a good solid adjustment here, knowing where to adjust, playing the 20% roll here with your wedge, definitely very important at knowing that short game so that you can make a lot of these, easy chips that can sometimes be pretty challenging, especially when you can't hit a perfect ball and you end up just on the right hand side of the cup like I did right there. So make a nice shot, guys, and you guys should be, pretty straightforward there at playing this hole number 8. Now, if you guys do go with the left hand side, play it with your long iron. Play it with like 2 bars of backspin straight in at the pin. Make a nice shot, and you guys should be perfectly fine. It's one of those shots that is very very good opportunity as well. So definitely don't count out that left hand side. Good luck. Alright though, guys, that's going to bring us right on over to hole number 9, par 5 here for Gokasho Bay. And this is going to be the last hole here to wrap us up for the Eastern Classics tournament. So the way that we are going to be playing hole number 9, par 5 here is going to kind of depend on the wind that we have here and whichever options the Playdemic gives us here in the tournament. Now, there's a couple different options here, and there's a nice reference point on the right-hand side of the fairway that we could potentially play here. But it's going to kind of depend on, whichever tee box that you're playing here. It might look a little bit different to you depending on whether or not you're bumping up in the divisions or where you're playing at. Because if you're used to playing it on rookie and you're playing in pro or expert now, it's definitely going to look a little bit different to you playing this down the left-hand fairway. So the course is going to look a little different. But nonetheless, guys, don't let it, fool you. We're just trying to get a nice straightforward shot here right down the middle of the fairway. As long as we're right there in the middle of that fairway, like right at the end of my ball guide, we're going to have a very straightforward sniper shot there around max distance, mid to max distance, straight in at the pin. So don't sweat it too much getting straight down the fairway. But if we do have a wind that is capable of taking advantage of our distance, we definitely want to do so. And that's what we're going to show you guys on our last clip here. We're going to show you guys that nice reference point and using the APOC to really curl your shot over and around down the fairway. So if you guys do want to play it conservative, definitely okay, but using the curl there that I did on the APOC, that's going to be about, the perfect amount of curl really that you're going to want to use. We're not going to want to use too much more than that because you're more than likely going to end up in the rough on the left-hand side there, and you definitely don't want to do that because that's going to be the one way that you make sure that you don't get an eagle on this hole, and we definitely need that because you are going to see a lot of standout scores here and a lot of people snagging the albatross, especially if Playdemic is nice to us and gives us a good wind here on this hole. And that wind is going to be a right to left kind of tailwind crosswind, but what we're going to look for here on this second shot with our sniper is to either play this at mid to max distance plus 15% in elevation. And we're looking for a little bit of a funnel straight in towards the pin. We're going to use about 2 bars to 3 bars of backspin straight in at the pin, maybe even like a bar and a half. It all kind of depends on where you end up on the fairway and what distance you actually have to work with. Now, I played that with my APOC, that last shot that we looked at there. I played that with the curl and the topspin that I did there to get us try to get us down that little S curves of the fairway to shorten us up a little bit without really worrying about the rough. And we ended up at like 355, and that put us at about max distance with our long iron there, minimum distance with our sniper. So if you guys are trying to get like a sniper shot, you're going to want to stay a little bit further back, around like 350, 340 yards, so you have a nice mid-distance sniper shot there to work with. If not, you're going to want to get just a little bit further up and potentially use your long iron and use that straight in towards the pin. Maybe a bar of topspin. The grizzly might work out good for you there if you can end up a little bit further up. But essentially, what you're looking for there is to take advantage of the wind if you can. Now, the curled shot that we're looking for is basically a power slice with a right to left wind, a straight tailwind. The only wind that we really don't want to use the power slice on is a straight headwind. And what we're going to do here is use this tree right where my target is as a reference point, and then we're going to use see, we have a right to left wind here, but we can get away with this little bit of a headwind. We're going to be able to get away with it because we can use the overpower in a power 5 ball, but we are still going to clip the rough there. But we're going to use that tree as our reference point, make our wind adjustment from there, and then power slice our ball. Alright though, guys, that is going to be the wrap up for the Pro and Expert Division guide and walkthrough video there for the Eastern Classics Tournament, and I definitely hope that it did help you guys. Thank you guys very much for being here and watching the video. Hope it gave you guys a good general idea on how you guys are going to want to tackle these holes in the Eastern Classics Tournament. Please let me know, guys, down in the description below what you guys think about these open type tournaments where they do pick the courses and the holes that we're going to be working with here, and kind of do a little mashup in the tournament. I definitely do like these kind of tournaments. I think they are a little bit of a challenge, and I do like the Playdemic gives us a little bit of a mix up and a little bit more of a challenge, to work with. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. But make sure you guys do consider subscribing if it is your guys' first time to the channel. We got tons of more content on the channel for you guys to check out, and tons more coming. So make sure you guys do smash that like button while you're here. If we helped you a little bit, or if you liked the video and you hung out with us here this far, I definitely would appreciate it. But nonetheless, guys, we will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot for being here, and take it easy. Peace.